Communication. The whole world relies on the communication. The communication is the word came from the Latin word. The Latin word came from the communicare. The meaning is to import or transmit or participate is a communication. What is called communication? Communication is an exchange of ideas, facts, opinions, and emotions between the two or more person is called the communication. Communication is the process where the sender send the message, transmit the information to the receiver. Also, it is called the communication. The communication is an important aspect in the organizations or the anywhere you are a student or you are working in a hospital or working in a college, wherever it's that communication is important. So the communication, the clear communication, what's the main objectives of communication? It transmit the right information to the right person is called the communication. If you see the father of communication, Glady Shan. So he is the father of communication. He found out communication. So this communication should be in a proper way. If you are learning in an educational institution, 30% of the knowledge of your professional nursing is more than enough. The remaining 75% is essential to know how to communicate. In this class, we are going to learn about what is called communication, what is the types of communication, what is the effective communication, what is the principles and features of communication. If you see that what is the features of communication, communication is always a two-way process. It is an important element for an organization. It is a continuous process. It transfers the messages into the meaningful way. It may be a formal or it may be a informal. It flow up or down to up or side to side. Anyway, the information will be passing. 7 C's are there in the principles of communication. What is the 7 C's? So that's a C, clear, clarity, concise, conciseness, it's called concrete. Then courteousness. Somebody has been met with an accident. So you have to say clearly where is the place, what is this one, and in a concrete, reliable information you have to give. Consideration, competence, and courtesy. So this is called the principles of communication. If you see the process, you can see encoding. First is a sender, there is a receiver. I told you communication between the two or more people. Who will be there? Sender and the receiver. Sender, what he do? Sender will be sending the message. So encoding the message will be go through the channel. Either the written form, oral form, voice form, telephonic, whatever it may be. Then will be decoding. Then will be the receiver is, and again he will encode and transmit the information and decode it and send it to. It is a cyclic process. The feedback is the backbone of communication. What is called noise? The noise is an important factor which affect the barrier. Only the noise is a barrier of communication. The barrier is again classified into many ways. What are all the barriers we can classify? If you see the types of barrier, language is an important barrier. Physical barrier, noise, other things. Personal barriers, my emotions, my mood is not good. Gender barrier, there is a male person, how will I hesitate to communicate? Emotional barrier, more stress, insecure feeling, I cannot. Language barrier, linguistic and language is the same. Then the status barrier, if you are a principal, your subordinates is very reluctant to communicate. What principal will be thinking? Cultural barrier, then organizational barrier. Then the semantic barrier, it's a problem in encoding and decoding. And in the attention barrier, I cannot concentrate. I'm very tired. It's my attention barrier. So this is about the barriers of communications. So also, what are all the types of communication? How we can divide? The types can be divided based on the relationship. Intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal, thinking by yourself. Who I am, how I am, what I am doing. Intrapersonal. Transpersonal communication. Maybe you are praying to the God. Then interpersonal communication. It's like a IPR, interpersonal relationship, interpersonal communication between the patients and you, yourself. And group communication and the mass communication, where you are sending the messages. Then what is based on the organization structure? Formal communication and informal communication. It's like a casual talk. Casual thing is called the informal communication. Formal will be the letter, memo, other things will be called the formal communication based on their direction. It's like a vertical communication. Modi is communicating to the another minister. Minister will communicate to the another person, will be collector. Collector will communicate to this one. So it is called vertical communication. Horizontal communication. Horizontal communication. Modi is calling all the ministers and sending to the information to all this one. Upward communications, the ministers or the lower level workers are communicating towards the Modi. From down to up, it is called the upward communication. Downward communication, upward diagonal communication. So all are communicating with each other. It's called all the direction. It's called the diagonal communication. Important one is verbal communication. Verbal, like a talking, oral, written communication. Non-verbal communication. It's a very important one. Your gesture. Gesture will be speaking louder than the voice. So you have to mind your gestures when you are communicating. If I sit in a, somebody wants to, some students wants to come to me and talk to me, very important matter. If I sitting in the cross leg and asking, shaking my legs and moving in another direction, will she able to communicate to me? That's the biggest barrier. So we have to mind our gestures and keep a good gestures, good position. Then only the communication will be more effective. People will be much comfortable to communicate with you. What is the skill is needed for the communication? I told you in the beginning of the class, 30% is knowledge is more than enough, and 70% you should develop the communication skill. First important skill of the communication is the presentation skill, team building skill, how to build the team. You have to listener, should be a good listener. Selling skill, win-to-win conversation skill, cross-cultural communication skill, influencing skill. You should be able to influence other. The leaders can influence. Business writing skills and negotiation skill. Though you are having a negotiation skill, you have to peacefully wait for the other information what they are telling. Understand? So these are all the skills. What are all the way to improve your communication? So you have body language, as I told you, non-verbal communication, body language is much matters. So be present, good listener, encourage the people, give eye-to-eye contact, give clarity information, smile always, and focus on the self-improvement. Where I can not communicate, why I not tell like that, right? Or not? So focus what you are telling. So many people will be telling, yeah, I was fall in love with that girl, but I never revealed her, so my love died. So if you are not communicating, not only love, so many things will not happen. So you have to be very careful in communication. You have to be very open to the communication. You have to be very confident what you are communicating, the encoding and decoding. So this class we have seen clearly about what is called communication, where the word came from, and father of communication, process of communication, principles of communications, barriers of communication, and the the skills needed for the communication, how to way to improve your communication skill in a working area. Thank you.